Greetings. Today I want to do a little follow-up from my Sunday message from yesterday on forgiveness. Within a 20 to 30 minute message, I recognize that there are many more points that I could make about a large topic like forgiveness. There are some requests for clarification that I had received on this, and as this topic is critical to our journey, I wanted to spend a few more minutes on it. Let me review my main points on forgiveness from yesterday, where I took my message from Luke 23, 33 to 35. First, forgiveness starts with an offense, and that has a cost or price of harm or loss that is suffered in it. Second, forgiveness involves a willingness to pay the fee for that offense. And third, forgiveness opens the door to save both the offender and the offended. So an example of this would be loaning someone $1,000 and them not paying you back. Now, you could choose that they remain indebted to you, or you can forgive it, which would cost you $1,000, which you have already paid. It will also cost you, though, the emotional and relational hurt from the trust that was betrayed in it. But it opens a door for relationship without the debt hanging over top of it. Now, in the case of humanity sinning against God, we know from Genesis 1 to 3 that the cost of sin is death. You may think of it as an over the top in some ways, but Adam and Eve betrayed the trust that God had placed in them, and they proved that they didn't trust in God and accepted the lies of Satan. Revelation 13:8 says that Jesus is the Lamb of God who was slain from the foundation of the world. God's willingness to pay for humanity's sin did not merely happen with Jesus submitting to that will of his Father in the Garden of Gethsemane, but from the very beginning of creation. Jesus paid this insurmountable and incomprehensible debt through his death and resurrection, which we celebrate on Good Friday and Easter Sunday, thus opening an opportunity for relationship with God again. God did not need saving. We did. However, God had lost relationship with humanity and wanted that saved. In this way, salvation works both for God and for us. One area of further clarification concerns consequences. If you read a little further in Luke's account, you see one criminal demanding that Jesus get them off of the crosses, and the other recognizing that Jesus was innocent and they were sinners. This second criminal then asked Jesus to remember him in paradise, and Jesus says that he would be with him there. While Jesus was paying the price for forgiveness with God, he was not absolving the man from his crime. The criminal did not merely owe a debt to God, but also to society. The criminal still died for his crime on that cross. God's forgiveness does not necessarily pay for your speeding ticket, although God's grace can operate in miraculous ways sometimes for us. So if someone has been an abuser or has violated someone in some way, their choice to forgive this person does not automatically wipe out the consequences. Your choice to forgive someone removes the bitter root poisoning your heart and the imprisonment of unforgiveness from your soul. It opens an opportunity for a relationship, but does not mean that restoring it to whatever it was is automatic. The case of the man that I referenced in 2 Corinthians chapter 2 shows Paul encouraging the church to return this repentant man back into fellowship with the Christian community. Still, it doesn't indicate that they were to put the person immediately in a place of leadership or trust. Forgiveness wipes away the sin, but the sin that was committed also wipes away the confidence others have in them. That would have been earned again over time if it were possible. Another expansion of our understanding in regards to how we forgive. Yesterday, I also referenced to Matthew 18:35, where Jesus says that we have to forgive from the heart. Now, the context of this recognizes the enormity of God's forgiveness for us and that we must also forgive others. The first century understanding of the heart is that it was first the place of thinking or reasoning, secondly, of the will, and thirdly, of the emotions. We typically reverse this. Forgiving does not condone wrong actions, but it does free you from the prison trap of unforgiveness. It also shows the grace of God at work in your life as a testimony to others, including the offender. But reading this one verse can make things seem like forgiveness is a one-off, where you just accomplish it in an instant. For God, this is indeed possible because it lacks no depth or breadth and is complete in its scope. For us, however, unless it's small and simple, we often do not know the full depth or breadth or scope of how we have been wronged. So, I would draw your attention to Peter's question that begins the parable of the unforgiving servant in verses 21 and 22 of Matthew 18. Peter asks if he should forgive someone up to 7 times, and he thinks he's doing pretty good because the rabbinic teaching was 3 times. Jesus had just been talking to them about having to forgive one brother to another and reconcile that. And Jesus' answer to Peter is to forgive 70 times 7. Some versions say 77 times, but either's possible in the Greek. Not so that they should count this, though. Jesus is saying you have to forgive and forgive completely. I also believe it reveals that Jesus recognizes how we may have to forgive people repeatedly to get the completeness of that forgiveness working. As we discover the degree to which we need to forgive some offenses, forgiveness can continue. That process can take a bit of time. Now, I don't want to minimize the hurt or suffering that some people have experienced. The scope of forgiveness can be far more than I've had to work with in my life, but none of it equals the degree to which God has had to forgive. We cannot understand the enormity of the forgiveness in Jesus going to the cross on behalf of all sin committed by everyone, everywhere, throughout all time. This, if anything, is supposed to inspire and propel us to forgive others. I pray that you find the freedom of forgiveness. Firstly, the freedom of relationship with God through the forgiveness afforded to us by Jesus Christ. But secondly, through your own forgiveness of others. If you struggle with unforgiveness, please contact me at the church office, and I will gladly do what I can to aid you in this journey. God bless you all. May you live in complete freedom and forgiveness.